Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Brighton 2, Manchester United 1 on the Premier League opener. The air of positivity around a new manager and a fresh start comes crashing down after the first 90 minutes. I'm reminded of something I've said many a time. You cannot polish a turd. Some people think you can. You just end up with messy hands and a big mess. And that's what happened today. You cannot polish a turd. A leopard cannot change its spots. We were expecting a miracle. We spoke about miracle. We said we were not ready. We said Erik ten Hag would need a miracle, and then we're meant to complain when we watch that. It's a reality bite. It's where we are. I think we all went into today as an opening game at Old Trafford and we hoped. But you cannot survive on hope. We basically gave up 3 points. We're not ready. And the people to blame for this are those players and the owners and the board who keep bullshitting everybody, pretending that they're going to go again with their PR tweets and their PR pub meets and their PR visits to Old Trafford. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. If you know anything about football, whether you're a United fan, an Arsenal fan, a Liverpool fan, you can see United are not going to finish in the top four. And you can see that it's probably not a surprise that a well-drilled, well-coached Brighton side comes to Old Trafford and plays us off the park. And that's what happened. We were dreadful. And I've got to be honest, my prediction of a 2-0 win was based upon optimism, positivity and total faith in a manager, even though I've been saying, like many of you, we're not ready. We're not ready. We're picking fucking Fred as a 6. You've got McTominay playing nearly 80 minutes and we're expecting to beat a well-drilled side. You've got Maguire playing in a high line and you're wondering why they're getting in behind us all the time. I don't get why a new manager is having to use other managers' failures. Now, you can question Ten Hag's team selections. You can question a few things. I mean, there was a few baffling things and I will talk about Ten Hag, but I almost feel like it's wrong to address Ten Hag when... look, the biggest thing for me was watching that game, and I don't know what you think as well. Remember, we're going to do player ratings, by the way. Links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. We'll go through that in a minute because we'll be able to deep dive into every player. But I, at no point in 90 minutes, in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford with a new manager playing his first competitive game, at no point did I recognise that as Ten Hag football. I didn't notice a press. I didn't notice good patterns of play. I didn't notice any confidence on the ball. I didn't really notice many good chances that we created. The goal we scored was jammy. Like, there was nothing fluid about that performance. Brighton, on the other hand, picked us off, defended well organised, structure, whatever you want to call it. We totally deserved to lose that game. And my anger and frustration is firmly where it's been all summer. I think Murtaugh's a joke. I think Arnold's a joke. I think the Glazers are a joke. And I think anybody who defends them are a joke. Because if we do sign Frankie de Jong and we do sign Anthony and we do end up with a good team at the end of August, which is a massive if, why is it okay to give 3 points? I kept saying this and people wouldn't listen. They call you negative. They say, oh, negative, the negative stand. The real stand. The United stand. Because we've just, correct me if I'm wrong, the season was always going to start on August the 6th. It's a 38-game season. We cannot afford to give 3 points up, and we gave 3 points up today. So all you people who say, oh, stop being so negative, we'll get there in the end, Murtaugh's working hard. The season started today. We're not ready. Arsenal have won. Chelsea have won. Spurs have won. They might add a couple of players to their team, but they're ready. We're not ready. You can't be not ready in the Premier League. You've got to respect Brighton. You've got to respect Brentford. You've definitely got to respect Liverpool. We could end up with 3 points from 9, even if we beat Brentford, because we've got Liverpool after that. We're not ready for the start of the Premier League season, and somebody in this fan base has got to unite these fans and start looking at how this club is milking its fans dry on that shit. They wrote the season off in November to give an interim coach the job and then sack him because he said you need to sell 10 players and buy 10 players. Oh, you can fuck off. He's talking too much sense. He's exposing us. Get rid of him. I mean, you know, I expect letters of apologies to Ralph Rangnick. We need to sell 10 players and buy 10 players. You can get the sack, you know? We wrote last season off halfway through. We're now writing this season off before the season's even started. You can sing for top four at the moment. I mean, most of us never predicted it anyway, but when you're losing at home to Brighton, you can sing for top four. You ain't getting it. Like, we're a shambles. And you know what as well? The players that put a smile on their face on pre-season and think because they're having to run hard that they're suddenly going to play well. They completely didn't get the memo. I think some of these players at Manchester United think if they turn up with a new coach, they're suddenly going to be good. They need to invest in some mirrors. They are blame shifters. They take no responsibility for their own individual performance. They shift it to somebody else. They think we're going to suddenly start playing like Ajax because we've got Ten Hag in charge. None of them take it on board that they've actually got to work and play hard. There's no leadership. There's no coordination. Their heads drop. It was the same old shit. I mean, I was reading the chat on the watch along and everybody was right. It was like watching a Ranić or Solskjaer performance because, and I feel sorry for Ranić, I really do, but I feel sorry for Ten Hag more because he's currently there. That is not a Ten Hag team. They've basically not taken on board everything he's told them in pre-season. All the smiley faces, all the photos, all their winning teams, they've just basically shat it out this morning. There is nothing that they've learnt from pre-season they put into that game today. They cannot be trusted. They're not good enough. You cannot polish a turd. We saw the pre-season. We saw when there was no pressure on this team, they can do it. But the minute there's some pressure, they wilt. And some people just don't seem to grab this. How can we play so well in pre-season and then do that? We go again. We'll be back against Brentford. We're not going again. They've proved it time and time again in semi-finals, finals, derbies, Anfield, Watford, Leicester. When the pressure's on, they bottle it, they look away, and they blame somebody else. And we've seen it in the space of 5 weeks. We've seen in pre-season, they've played the press. They've played the little triangles. They've created lots of chances. Today, when it matters, unrecognisable. Unrecognisable. We're a shambles, says Ivan. Mid-table side at best. Well, we are at the moment, I agree. Saw this coming, as you've been often say, you can't polish a turd, says Weasel. Same problems from Man United from the same players. How has this board not solved problems from last season, says Sean. Well, we'll talk about the players in a minute. And also, we had a super chat here from Ruddy. He says, I can't believe all those Pratts showed up today. Glazers, Murta and Arnold were at the game. The jokers, no wonder our sponsors want out, says Ruddy. It's almost as if they're writing the season off so they have an excuse to get posh, says Rash. You know what? I'm really glad that Avram Glazer was there today because I think they turned up because they thought this was a nailed-on win with a new manager where they can sort of pretend to be part of the positivity, and they got absolutely exposed. Murta, Arnold, Glazer, all sat in a row, bunch of Pratts. You got exposed for your lack of football knowledge. You couldn't see that was going to happen. You couldn't see that was a possibility. You thought these same shitty players from last year are suddenly going to play really well because we've got a new manager, and then you can sit there going all smugly, oh, look at what we're building. Look at what you're building. You may as well have shat on the pitch. That's what you're building, a big festering turd. Rubbish. I can't believe how badly run this club is. I mean, it's badly run. We all know it's badly run, but it never fails to amaze me how low they can take us. That they actually sat there with smiles on their faces at the start of the season and thought we were going to have a good one. We're crap. We're absolutely crap. Look, Ten Hag's going to have to learn what we know. Like, I can't believe he made no subs at half time. I can't believe he only made one sub before the 75th minute. Like, for me, Maguire, McTominay and Fred should not have come out for the second half. Like, Varane should have gone on. And I'd have put Ronaldo and I'd have put Donny on. I know we haven't got... I mean, one of the big problems is, let's be honest, Rashford and Sancho played 90 minutes because we haven't got anything on the bench. Like, that's a completely different problem. We've got no depth. We have got no depth. Rashford was terrible today. One chance he should have scored. One he definitely should have scored. But he didn't play well. Sancho was a bit better. But there's no options. He's got no options up front. Totally reliant on Ronaldo, who understandably wants to go. Why? How people can criticise Ronaldo, I'll never understand. I mean, do you not think he knows a little bit more than us? You've seen today what the problems are. He's probably known it all summer. He's training with this lot. So, absolute shambles, absolute mess. The scariest thing for me is that a new manager should be able to survive the first month or so on good results and the positivity. We now know a Ten Hag United side can be beaten at home by a mid-table side. Like, the air of invincibility or positive or whatever you want to call it, it's gone. And that's really unfair. because Rangnick got half an hour against Palace. We thought that was a joke. Ten Hag's not even had 10 minutes. I'm disgusted with those players. I'm absolutely, the board are at fault. They should have bought more players. I get that. But those players should be disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. They didn't even give him 10 minutes. There was no bounce at all. It was flat. It was as flat as a pancake. There was no... You can lie to me if you want, but that first 10 minutes was crap. There was no buzz. The crowd, brilliant. The players, nothing. They looked scared. They looked absolutely scared. I don't know. After this awful performance, De Jong definitely not coming, says Jaden. McTominay stealing a wage, says Thabo. Anyone who dares to criticise Ronaldo wanting to leave after this is completely delusional, says Majak. Frankie's laughing at this. There's no chance of anyone coming, says JR Taylor. We need to sign more midfielders and they may want to start looking for a Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship, says Rob. And also, if we're confident of last season, I can genuinely see us finishing around 10th, says Daniel. Well, look, I don't want to overreact. I mean, look, it's one game, but when you're losing to Brighton at home and you deserve to lose at Brighton at home, that's sort of your level. We can't be in the conversation of being in the top four. It just can't be there. And I think that, look, I love a moan, as you know. I love an excuse. We all do. But we're just not very good. We're just not very good. Like Yad says, I never saw the press and there was no rhythm or hunger. It was non-existent. De Gea is allergic to distributing a good ball. All right, yeah. I think you can bring out your agendas if you want to, but I don't think we lost the game because of David De Gea. I really don't. I actually thought he did reasonably well on his distribution, and I don't think that's why we lost the game. I don't understand how Bruno is a star player of the team, says Alejandro. 6-1 on aggregate, says Clem. And I don't blame Ten Hag, but the bunch are consistently poor. The board and the Glazers being there hate the sight of them, says Hugh. But yeah, I mean, I want to go into the player ratings because I think that's the most important thing. But I worry. Everybody wants to start the season with a bit of positivity, and I feel like it's like the traffic light system. I love the traffic light system. You've got the red and the green. Positivity is green, red is negativity, and then you've got amber. And I've seen a lot of negativity about United, and I've seen a lot of people being really positive. And I've been amber about it. I've been like, there are some positives and there are some negatives. I mean, 10 minutes into the game, Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic is saying that we've bid £8 million for Arnautovic. I don't want to bring the mood down anymore, but fucking Arnautovic. I mean, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, desperation, Arnautovic. This is what I mean about this club. It's an absolute shambles. Please, somebody, a billionaire, somebody who cares about this club, just put your name forward publicly. The fans will get behind you and we'll get rid of these prats. We can sack the board, we can sack all the twats, and we can start a proper rebuild. Arnautovic. Fucking Arnautovic. Is that what we've been doing this summer? No, we haven't. I've never heard the name from any journalist, any source, or any outlet that we want Arnautovic. Literally this morning, we're linked to Arnautovic. Now we're bidding for Arnautovic. Pure desperation. Pure desperation. Tell me a team in the top 8 that would buy Arnautovic. I don't think West Ham would go near Arnautovic again. So why are we buying Arnautovic? Wow, you know what, Mark? To be fair, it gives us a bit of depth. Oh yeah, we had Cavani last year, and we've now got Arnautovic, and we're meant to be going forward. It's just, I don't mind buying Arnautovic, to be fair. If he's Plan A, if Eric Ten Hag comes into the club and goes, I want to build my team around Arnautovic, I'd be a little bit worried, but I'd go, well, at least he wants him. But Arnautovic in August, it's just desperation. We've done this with Falcao, we've done it with Cavani, we've done it with Agallo. It might work, but it's bloody desperate and everybody can see for what it is. And the reason we keep failing is because we're desperate. We're not organised. We don't have the right people employed at the club to be organised. You've seen it with De Jong. We've seen it with Anthony. We overpaid for Martinez. We got Eriksen on a free transfer and for some reason it took weeks. We're desperately unorganised in that football club, and I know the transfer window is very different to the start of the season, but unfortunately the start to our season has been defined by the transfer window, which is unorganised, and I cannot understand why anybody wouldn't understand that we've lost today because we're not organised and we're not ready. And that's on the club. I know for a fact that Erik ten Hag gave the club in mid-May a list. It was Darwin Núñez, it was Anthony, it was Timber, it was De Jong, it was Malacia, it was Eriksen, and it was Dumfries. He gave them 7 names. How many of them has he got? Eriksen, Malacia, and a backup for Timber, which is Martinez. And the season started. He hasn't got the attacker. He hasn't got the striker. Remember, he wanted 2 attackers, by the way. He wanted Darwin Núñez and Anthony. He's got neither of those. He's still got no midfielder. And we're starting fucking Fred in the midfield. And look, that's where we're going to go into the player ratings. I feel like we're at the last few matches of the season and players wanted to get it over. They were terrible. Their attitude was terrible, Davan. The good thing about buying a cheaper replica shirt is that I'm not as bothered about setting fire to it, says Blakey. 5 years since we signed the defensive midfielder, says Cobalt. Now we will see this annoying message from the players will bounce back. I don't think they will. Yeah, I don't think the players will do that. I really don't. When we go through the player ratings, I don't think there's many players that come out of today being able to say we go again. Chiri says, when your captain and leader is someone who never won anything but still thinks he's the best centre-back in the world, what can we expect, says Chiri. These players needed moving on. New manager, same useless players, says Andy Prince. And wonder, will the Glazers feel shame when walking out? They don't even know what they're watching, Stephen. The Glazers don't know what they're watching. As I said, if you said to the Glazers, our midfield's terrible, there's a problem in the midfield, they'd say, get down the gym and go to Weight Watchers. They don't know what a midfield is. They think it's the stomach. Erik ten Hag has been stubborn on sticking with failed combinations from previous seasons like Fred, Maguire. Hopefully he'll now learn, says Stev. Varane could start with Harry and Lissandro instead of Fred. Lissandro bullied by Welbeck. Eric's strategy was futile. We must bring Savic, Sesko quick, says MM. Well, let's do the player ratings. Links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. Let's see what you've got. I mean, obviously, we know some of these will be driven by agenda. I think the first one will be as well. There's some players that deserve more focus than others. I don't really want to dwell on De Gea. Look, he kicked the ball out. I saw Sanchez do it a couple of times. So I think people focus on De Gea when he kicks the ball out. But I saw Sanchez do that a couple of times for Brighton as well. First goal, couldn't do anything about it. Second goal, I thought it was a really good save. Like, Shaw should not have let that shot go. He made a good save. Couldn't really do anything about the rebound. So I would probably give De Gea... I'd probably give him a 6, to be honest, today. I don't think he did bad. Delot, 5.5 for me. I don't think Delot was as bad as some people make out, but I think the problem with Delot is a very good left winger like a Son or a Diaz is gonna rinse him. He is our best right back, but he ain't bloody. He's not Cancelo. You know, he's not. He's not that level. I think Delot is Delot, and the hope is that he can get better, but he certainly ain't the finished article. Maguire, I give him a 5. I actually don't think Maguire was as bad as some people are making out, and I know people are going to fall off their chair there, but you know, his passing's quite tidy. He's always an asset in the air, but he's not a captain. He's not a leader, and he's so vulnerable. He's so vulnerable. You've almost got to talk about them as a pair, because I like Martinez and I like the signing of Martinez, but let's not pretend he put in a performance like Koulibaly yesterday. There's a lot of work to do with Martinez in the Premier League. There might be a bit of an adjustment time. I think where Ten Hag got this wrong is Rafael Varane. We are living in the Matrix, like someone said. How is Rafael Varane sat on his arse for 90 minutes while that defence is getting probed more time than an alien? Like, what is going on? I don't understand it. They got Maguire and Lissandro Martinez in the first half got beaten for pace more times than an egg yolk by an electric whisk. It was just constant. And I'm like, I know it and you know it. Ten Hag wants to play a high line. And I know it and you know it. Maguire can't do it. And if Danny Welbeck is getting in behind Maguire 3 or 4 times in the first half, Danny Welbeck's not the best striker in the league. A better striker than Welbeck is going to have an absolute field day. What are we going to do? I know he cost £80 million. I know his passing's quite good. And I know he's good in the air. But if you want to play a high line, which you have to do, Ten Hag can't start playing a deep line because he's not Ten Hag anymore. We brought a manager in to play a brand of football which is similar to the way Liverpool and Man City play. That player doesn't suit it. And you can watch the game back as many times as you like. We're vulnerable with him in the team. He's got to be dropped. It's got to be Varane. I just don't see how he works. Martinez can do it, but he's got to have somebody quick with him. I don't think Martinez was that good today. I'll give him a 5.5. I don't think he was that good. I don't think we can have agendas here. I'll give Maguire a 5. I'll give Martinez a 5. He got caught a few times as well. He got booked. Maguire got booked. I thought they were a mess. I think Brighton, luckily for us, defended in the second half. They didn't attack as much, but every time they attacked us in the first half, I was worried about the centre-backs. They were vulnerable, and they were vulnerable to pace. And Raphael Varane cannot sit on the bench. Now, if he's injured, there's nothing we can do. If he's injured a lot this season, we're going to see a lot more of that, and we're going to be in trouble. We need Varane. For me, it's Varane and Martinez. If it's Varane and Maguire, whatever. But he's got to play. He's better than those two. He shouldn't be sat on the bench. It's weird. Luke Shaw, look, I like Luke Shaw, but today he was terrible. 5 from me, 3.8 from you. I would have started Malacia. I don't see the point. I said this before, and I'm a fan of Luke Shaw. So, look, I think you've got to look at this completely honestly and be fair. I like Luke Shaw, but I would have started Malacia because what we saw today was what I feared. If you buy a new left-back, but you stick with your old left-back, what does that say to the new left-back? You're the understudy. What does it say to the old left-back? You're still number 1. If you start Malacia, Luke Shaw's like, shit, I've lost my place. Malacia's emboldened and confident and goes, I've got the first place. So he works hard to keep it, and Luke Shaw works hard to get it. Flip it the way we did it. Luke Shaw, well, I'm still number 1. Manager likes me. Malacia, well, played well in pre-season, but he's still gone with the old guy. And I think we saw a lot of that, actually. I think that's very evident today. For some reason, we went with people from the past. And I don't get it, because they let us down again. So I would have started Malacia. Worst player on the pitch, don't get it. Scooby-Doo. I almost think we need to employ Scooby-Doo and the magical mystery van to pull that face off, because I don't know what's underneath there, but something dodgy's going on. 3. Absolute terrible. I don't know how he survived the first half. I don't know how he played. I don't know how Fred got subbed before him. I don't know how he played for 75 minutes. I don't know what the plan was. These sort of things really intrigue me, because I'm like, I'm not Ten Hag. He's a master tactician. I'm just a fan. He knows more than me. So I'm constantly thinking, what is it? What is it about McTominay that I've never seen? And I think it's height. I really do think he was on the pitch in case we put a cross in and he got on the end of it. He was absolutely pocketed by Caicedo. Caicedo made him look worse than he actually is. He actually dominated him. He bullied him. He ran past him. He made him look absolutely irrelevant. And that's what he was. He was a joke. And the one thing I would say about McTominay is, and I keep saying this, the last time he had a good game was Burnley in January. He's played nearly every game since then. Why are we picking players? He's not the only one. Why do we keep picking players who haven't had a good game in months? And then we're surprised when we lose. We're not going to beat teams when we're carrying players like that. Absolutely atrocious. Atrocious for an opening game of the season. And he's a player that thrives on passion. Like, where was the passion? At least give us that. Awful. It felt like we are at the last few games, says Davin. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and subscribe. What blackmail material does he have on the board, and can we have it, says Marcus. Surprised if we see McFred, Shaw and Delo again. Well, I think we will, SB, because we've said it so many times. Eric Ten Hag was impressed by the same team because they finished second in closed stadiums. He probably thinks this team is amazing just because they seem motivation, says Varun. I actually thought Eric Ten Hag tried to play his way. Imagine all the legendary midfield Joes we've had, and imagine McFred, says Sharon. Watching this Harry Maguire interview makes me sick to my stomach. Well, I don't know what he said, Donovan. I will try and get some quotes, or if someone can put them in, I'll definitely have a read of those. Let's carry on. Anyway, I feel sorry for Fred. 4. I would have given him a 3 like McTominay, but I feel sorry for him. I actually feel sorry for Fred. McFred is because they play together. To kill McFred, one of them needs to get dropped, and then it's Fred or McTominay. Fred, the best things of Fred are his tenacity, pressing high up, winning the ball back. He can't do that if you ask him to play as a holding midfielder. And if you ask him to play as a holding midfielder, you're asking him to shield the back four, play out from the back, and control the ball. And he can't do any of them things. He was crap today. But I think if Fred had played where Eriksen or Bruno or McTominay was, he'd have had a better game. He was played out of position. He's not a number 6. We haven't got a number 6, and this is the problem. So I'm not going to go in on Fred too much. He was crap, but it's just not his position. Bruno, 5. I don't know what to say about this guy anymore. I don't know what we've done to him. I've always loved Bruno. I've always thought he's a fantastic player, but I've not been able to defend him for a while now. He had a great chance at 0-0. He should have put that on target. Let's not forget that was 0-0. It was a fortuitous chance, but he should have took it. He's just another player that just does not justify a start and does not justify his wage. I don't know what to say. I'm really disappointed in Bruno. Really. I thought Sancho was okay. I'd probably give him a 6. I thought Sancho was okay. I'm conflicted on this, and I'll trust you lot. If you think he played bad, I'll go with you. I felt with Sancho, he either had a bad game or he was in the graveyard shift. And sometimes I'm generous to people in the graveyard shift. That I think that they don't get a lot of the ball. But having said that, yeah, I'm probably being a bit generous. You should expect a little bit more, shouldn't you? Marcus Rashford, God, you've got to give him a 5. Again, look, I in no way am I comparing Rashford to McTominay, but when was the last time Rashford played well, and why? You know what? Completely taking emotion out of this, what disappointed me today is Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, especially those 4. You got pelters last year. You got loads and loads of criticism. Many would have sold you. I wouldn't have sold any of them, to be fair, but many would have said you don't deserve to start this season after last year. You've all started. Where's your remorse? Where's your effort? Where's your desire to put things right? That's what hurts me, is that they were all dreadful last year. They've all undeservedly been given another chance. And what have they done with that chance? Thrown it out the window. That's what's disappointed me. And you know what? In fairness to them, I don't think it's lack of effort. I think it's lack of quality. I don't think they're not trying. I just don't think they're good enough. And we need to start realising that. It's not that they're not trying. They're not good enough. They're just not good enough. And if they can't turn up in the opening game of the season at Old Trafford for a new manager after what they did last year, I'm stunned that we are having to sit here criticising the same players when they had an opportunity today for us to be sat here going, you know what, last season, they look really focused. Let's give them another chance. They've blown that chance out the window. They flushed it down the toilet. That's a really good point. These players are meant to be having an undeserved second chance. And what have they done with that second chance? They played like they did last year. It's just shocking. I cannot get my head around it. I really can't. Eriksen, actually, I would give a 6. He played well. Well, look, this is the thing. Eriksen is never a holding midfielder, but he actually did it 10 times better than Fred. He's not even a holding midfielder. He's not a very good one. He'll get exploited against better teams, but he was so much better than Fred. He wasn't good in the first half, though. Ronaldo, what can you expect from Ronaldo? I mean, look, I'll give him an average 6. He ran around. He showed some leadership. We're giving an average performance for running around, but he was living on scraps. There wasn't really much going on, but he put a shift in. He showed some desire, and this is a player that wants to leave. Is this not the problem at United? Ronaldo wants to leave. I don't blame him. He wants to leave, and he's putting in more effort and showing more desire and more creativity than players that have got their bloody pipe and slippers on and want to stay here forever. Is this not the problem? This is what I said all along. This is why I want to keep Ronaldo. Because yes, he wants to go, but he's so much better than the shit that we've got. And people are happy to keep the shit because at least they want to be here. It's not about wanting to be here. It's about quality. Have we not learnt today one big major lesson? It doesn't matter whether a player wants to be here or not. It matters how they perform. Ronaldo doesn't want to be here, and he's performed better than all these players that want to go winning team. I want to be here. We're not going to win anything with players that want to be here. We need quality. Simple as. Donny, barely on the pitch, give him a 5. Malacia, 6, barely on the pitch. Look, you know what? I've got to be honest. I don't want this man to get any criticism because he's not been backed and we're not ready. And he got absolutely exposed today. Basically, Ten Hag took it from everyone apart from the fans. The fans were brilliant, and you're going to be brilliant to him as well. The players let him down. The board's let him down. You know, he's been absolutely exposed. I felt sorry for him. I really did. He got let down by the players. He's been let down by the board. But as much as I feel sorry for him, it's got to be a 5 because McFred as a holding midfield, never. That was a mistake. I mean, Garner would have done a better job. Varane sitting on the bench and you're playing a high line, that's got to be a mistake. And I would have started Ronaldo as well. So I think 3 big mistakes there that he's got to take responsibility for. But apart from that, you know. And man of the match, God fucking hell, I don't even know. Help me out. Help me out in the chat. Please help me out in the chat. I've got no idea who to put as man of the match. And I've never been in this situation. Even in the Ollie days, you'd find somebody that you can give man of the match to. I'm really struggling here. What are we thinking? Ronaldo, probably, yeah. Ronaldo or Eriksen. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's got to be one of those two. Right, I'm going to go with... Well, I thought Eriksen was bad in the first half, so I'd give it to Ronaldo on the fact that he actually played consistently okay. So, man of the match, Eriksen, 56%. So there you go. Ronaldo got 32%. It's not even worth mentioning what everyone else got. Absolutely dreadful. So, smash a like on the video, at least for Eriksen. Yeah, that's who got that. So yeah, God, look, where we go from here, you know what, that's the scary thing, isn't it? Where we go from here is we start talking about pre-season games, not pre-season games, we start talking about Brentford, but I think that I'd like to find solace in the transfer window, but we're trying to sign an Arnautovic. I don't know what's worse, talking about losing to Brighton or talking about signing an Arnautovic. It's just an absolute shit show, to be honest with you. And you know, I think as football fans, we're always of the opinion that we want to, you know, make things worse than they are. Some people want to make things more positive than they are. Some people want to make things more negative than they are. I get that, but I actually think we're in big trouble. Really big trouble. That team is in trouble. It might go and beat Brighton, but it will get beat by Liverpool, let's be honest, and it's going to get beat a lot. I think we're going to really struggle away from home. We're in big trouble. We're nowhere near ready. The scary thing is, if we'd lost that game but there'd been glimpses of Ten Hag's football, you could say, oh, you know, if you're losing, you know, if we hit the post 10 times and then Brighton get a dodgy penalty and win 1-0, but we played well, you can go, well, you know what, there's a lot of promise there. The worrying thing is, the heads will drop now, the confidence will drop. They'll know they're beatable. They'll know that Ten Hag's not a magician. And those players will become a problem. And we're miles off where we need to be. So that's my problem, is I think we're in for a really bad run if we don't make some big signings. And effectively what I'm saying is we need our board to back this manager. And we know that's probably not going to happen. So there we go. That's where we're at. Anyway, look, I've had my say. We're going to the fan forum now. I'm sure they're going to have their say. Get over there. And let's get over there in the live chat and raid it with Glazers out, because I think that is something that this fan base really needs to start working on collectively and properly. All these splinter groups who don't like each other is irrelevant. You've got to work together. They've got to work together, and I don't know why no one will do it. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video. Let's go to the fan forum and see what they've got to say.